What's going on, Tamers? Welcome to DigiPod, the digital podcast, in person, IRL.
Yes, sir.
With
in
the
person.
boys.
What's going on?
I'm your host, Varney, with my co-host, Dan.
Yes, sir.
And Mike. We're not up, down, left, and right today.
We're in person.
We are all in person.
First time ever, and probably last time ever, because we're never going to see Mike again in person.
That's facts.
Mike is normally passed out in a bush, but today he is not passed out and not in a bush.
Not
Something like that. Yeah.
Tonight I will for sure.
Tonight he's definitely going to be passed out.
Or Sunday at least, minimum.
This is true. These are
One
all
of
true.
those days.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, this week, the reason we're all here together is because it is Bandai Card Game Fest Orlando 2025. So, this guy right here, he qualified.
I'm on the side by myself because I'm the only national player right here. You know what I'm saying? Only person without invite.
Only person.
So he qualified. What did you qualify with?
D-Reaper.
He qualified with
Yes,
D-Reaper. It was a bubble down invite, but it was an invite nonetheless.
Damn, I feel like he kind of took that away from you a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, it was only bubble down invite, but
I mean, realistically, if it was, good percentages, I would have been top 16, no problem. It's just I had bad percentages.
This is true. And that's the thing. Tiebreakers are only half the battle. Anyways.
Sure is.
We are going to be talking about absolutely nothing. I don't know what we're talking about. We totally decided to wing this. So
yeah, we got this. So
I guess let's start with the recap locals.
Yeah, recap. We haven't been on pod since, was that 3 weeks now?
Has it been? Yeah, it's been 3
something
weeks.
Like
yeah.
Right.
Long enough.
Yeah, within that time frame, your boy got 5th place in Ulti Cup since
that's right.
We haven't talked about
it.
it.
Been on pod since that. Okay, yeah.
He cheated, but yeah.
I cheated. How did I cheat?
He cheated. He did that
Whatever.
thing with the cheating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know the
totally.
thing where you like, you don't
cheat.
you know.
Yeah.
You don't like,
Yeah.
you know.
You cheat.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
You know.
Totally.
As Coach Steve would say.
Anyways, I got 5th place with DM, Purple Hybrid,
Dark Masters,
APOC, whatever you want to call it.
It's Mill Central in this.
Yeah. But, we going to aggro with hybrids. We're going to either win fast or we're going to mill you out because the game took so long. You know what I'm saying? It's a win-win situation for me. That's all that matters.
Y'all know how many times he's just like, because you got left in there?
Hell yeah.
Okay. I drop APOC, then I drop Velga. Game.
Yeah, man. That's legit.
13 cards left in deck.
Legit strat. You play APOC for 3. You play a Velga for 7. You're past turn anyways. There's a mill 4 right there. Put another Velga underneath. Mill another 4. Mill 6. What's that? Can you do the math, Varney, for me, please?
No, not at all.
14?
Nope.
Thank you.
Nope.
That was more than 13. That's all that
Absolutely
matters.
not. Absolutely not. Kotaware. I refuse.
But anyways, yeah. So 5th place with in the Ulti Cup. I went X1-1. I got a draw against 7th grade Demon Lords. That was the one that I kind of like.
Bad player.
Not misplayed. I took a gamble, a way overly confident gamble for no reason that I probably shouldn't have had. I should just let my Digimon get deleted instead. And he went 3, not just 1 or 2, 3 free Beelzebubs. I was like, if you can do that, you got it. Like, there ain't nothing I can do about it.
What are you supposed to do at that
You
point?
rush.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, yo, there's no way he's gonna win with 2. I was like, I don't think he got anything else. And then because the effect is you on play, you mill 4, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, great, you're just setting me up for winning the next turn. And then he dropped the 3rd one. I was like, how? And I was like, oh, he did that. That makes sense. So that ended up being my draw because I lost in the second match in that match. And then game 3 started 2 minutes before overtime or something like that. 7th grade Demon Lords, you're not gonna finish that within 7 minutes. Even if you're bum rushing with a hybrid deck.
Yeah, there's no shot.
It's just hard. And then I ended up losing in the complete finals against Magna. I got deck checked, and then my deck got organized. And sometimes that first game after organized deck, not always the best. So that's what happened. Game 1 was completely bad. Breaked out. Game 2, that man had God security. Ain't nothing you could do about it. Ulti Flare and double Magnamon and security, which de-draws my hybrids, which is bad for me because I can't get the Unleassions, I can't play Tamers, I can't do certain things, which is not always good. So ended up losing in there, went to 5th place. And yeah. So I mean, I have a deck profile talking about all in detail matchups and everything.
This
so
is
I don't
true.
want
If you haven't
do all
checked
that.
it out, you
You know what
totally
I'm
should.
saying? definitely check it out for sure. And what else? What else we've had lately?
That's it.
I think that's it, right?
That's pretty much it.
Only
We got a couple.
That's been
you
like
can
the
show up
last
for locals,
event.
right? You haven't shown up to locals either.
I've been busy.
Yeah. Mike.
What? I don't have a fucking locals. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. My fucking
No, you found the new locals.
yeah. I don't know if they're gonna be playing Digimon though. I don't think that they're gonna. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Guess we'll
Digimon
see.
product.
But they do sell Digimon product. Yeah, yeah. It's not my fault. My locals got sent to jail for defrauding immigrants. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, nah,
Crazy.
that's
It's a true
wrong.
story. If you guys don't believe it, you should totally look it up. This is not not conjecture.
Yeah, I'm pretty
at
sure
all.
this probably a pod episode probably gonna go up after Nats.
Yeah,
So I am also playing again
this weekend, tomorrow.
Yep, tomorrow. I'm playing the same deck, just a more updated version. I did some tweaks, especially against certain matchups I know is a bad matchup for me. And Mirage did some heavy testing with Mirage. Like I'm talking about, like I was just grinding matches out with digi-know, and like just grinding matches, like so much so where like, you know, when you're playing so much, you don't even remember what game or round of like the matches is, just because we've just been nonstop going, just because like I know that's arguably the worst matchup because of Hexablow. And Mirage is Mirage things, and there's sometimes Mirage can lock you out as a purple hybrid player.
Yeah.
And you have a Searcher Uko in the back with like no memory, you're effed because like legit you can't do anything. So that's why I made a decent amount of changes to the deck, and I'm really liking it. I feel way more confident in that matchup now with Gazimons, with Rivals. I didn't play Rivals in the last version because I didn't feel like I needed as much. I probably should have, because Mirage is still Miraging me back then. But I went like full gas. But this time's a little bit different. Also, if you mill Rivals, you can grab a Tamer or a Digimon. So that's also, you know, another way to grab a Duskmon if you need it, instead of wasting like a mat or something. And that's just free Duskmons basically to grab. What else? Added Promo Uko and Louis.
Yep.
Little combo. It's pretty crazy combo in my opinion, because you can play the Louis for free off of the Duskmon kill. And then if you have Uko
Surely
in
he
the back,
can't go for game, right? He's good.
No.
I'm good. And it doesn't matter what he do. He doesn't have game next turn. Duskmon swing, Duskmon die, or well, Velgar die. Play Louis push up, tap, gain memory, swing for game.
Yep, exactly. It's a pretty cool little combo. Sometimes you gotta play Louis early and now it's stuck on the board, but like if you don't, you just trash it, and you basically guarantee that gameplay, like in the sense of they don't expect it sometimes. So like you can't really predict a Louis play for free.
Especially if your opponent's not keeping track of your trash, which, spoiler, I guarantee you nobody's going to be keeping track of purple hybrid trash.
That's why I will purposely just keep it in a pile instead of spread out.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a fact. Like, don't draw attention to it. Like, you pick it up to look at it like every so often when you need to on your turn. But like, otherwise, man, you just leave that alone. If they ask to see it, that's one thing. But sometimes players just get too in their heads. And they don't do the things that they should do. Like me, I didn't think to look. Well, I didn't even realize.
It's because you're bad, though. I mean, there's a difference.
I mean, sure, I didn't qualify for Nats. So yeah, bad player right here.
Unfortunate for you.
That's the only good guy over there.
I would have qualified for Nats, but
How would you have qualified? What deck would you have played?
What deck wouldn't I have played? You know, I would have qualified every single tournament playing a different deck each time.
Oh yeah,
There we go. That's it.
Yep.
So
Varney got a chance next year, right? When Exelon becomes good again.
Axamot, y'all see that stuff though?
Dude, what does it matter if you have an inheritable that has protection? You already have evade.
That one's for you, Peter.
Oh my god. Hey, there's always balance, there's always bottom decking. You know what I'm saying?
I just remember there was once upon a time, and I used to play against Setcon, and I was like, man, I'm good against everything except that chaos deck.
Oh yeah.
Every time
And
chaos deck.
deck.
It was worse when it was chaos deck and security, because I'm just like, damn,
Yeah, you can't.
I
do
gotta
anything about
rebuild that whole stack. And now I've got protection against chaos deck, so I'm good. I got protection against everything. That's goated. I'm extremely happy about that. I guess that's a good segue into what could be one of the like hottest topics So shout out to Brito. Brito's a regular listener. Brito's a fantastic player.
Brito is also a Nats.
Going to be at Nats. Brito is the Beelzemon Baron. Brito made a post maybe like 2 weeks ago now. He asked how people felt about protection effects in the game. And I remember we did a podcast explicitly called "Are Protection Effects a Necessary Evil?"
Correct.
And the topic then was Machine Dramon, because that was the only real like relevant thing at the time with protection, because like Greymon was running around, but it wasn't like this big menace or anything.
And I think the Guru stuff with the battle protection,
it might have still been around. It might have just gotten hit,
something like that. I don't remember.
Machine Dramon was like the big topic because that has renewable protection, because you drop Machine Dramon, they don't deal with it. You Digivolve Chaos into Chaos X, and all of a sudden you're this big bad 8+ source monstrosity that can't be touched. Nothing can happen to it.
The perfect machine.
The perfect machine. And now in today's game, we have encountered an era where every meta, that's a lot.
Almost every meta deck.
Almost every meta deck has protection. And if you don't have protection, you're pretty much a board dismantler.
Of some sort, I'd say. Protection of some sort.
Yes.
I mean, technically, jamming, you could say jamming's protection.
Sure, battle protection if you want to say.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
fair.
I think most meta decks have some sort of protection.
Purple Hybrid doesn't.
No. You don't need it.
I don't think you need it. You want your shit to get the
you have recursion. Recursion is your protection. You see this guy?
He wants it all. He gets greedy.
You know what the worst part about Purple Hybrid is?
You know?
It's when they swing and you're like, oh, thank God a Tamer's gone, and then they're like, Duskmon, play back out the Tamer that I just died with, and you're just like,
but I can't swing that same Tamer. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine.
Yes. So I think that when we did that pod originally, and I was like excited for protection effects back then, I was like, sweet. Greymon has protection effects. I like that. Machine Dramon, I always thought was a really cool, unique deck that it had protection, and it never felt. I mean, there were times where like you could build an insane Machine Dramon stack, and it was just like, how do I get rid of this thing? How do I out this? But it never felt like, terrible, considering it was never really like the most meta deck ever. And there was always ways like you could chip away at a Machine Dramon stack, There was something to do, at least, At least they had the strip sources. And then now it's like everyone just has free protection for no fucking reason. And that shit drives me crazy. Like, you don't have to work for it anymore. You play Return to fucking Primogenitor protection. I
feel like that's like the worst part about protection, because like protection on Digimon is one thing. Like we have Gallant X coming out, and Gallant X is protection while
you have one or more,
while the opponent has, while you have one or less memory, or 0 or less memory, something like that.
In other words, is when you have one or less memory,
and it's only against Digimon effects. Mm-hmm. It's not against option effects. So you can remove it by option, or you can remove it by Digimon by passing turn. So in other words, there's a way around it. But with stuff like Progenitor, with Examon's getting its own,
hey Mike,
like Progenitor,
he's just like completely ignoring his the specific one.
No, I
Magna X that has complete immunity.
I'm talking about options. I haven't gotten to Digimon just yet. Okay. We'll get to Digimon.
We were just talking about Gallant X.
We were just talking about
No. But I mean, like Gallant X is like fair protection, because it's protection that's easy work around.
I suppose.
Sure.
Anyway, I wouldn't call Examon's protection easy to work around, because it has evade on itself too.
So the evade is one thing, but like we'll get there. We'll get to the Digimon though. But we'll get to the Digimon. Fine. Progenitor.
I don't know where you're trying to get.
And I'm saying that cards like Progenitor and Examon's, whatever the option is called.
What about the Omnimons?
And Omnimons too.
Realistically, that's better protection.
Those 3 options are kind of like sure, Imperial's like one of the best decks of the game. Omni's a rogue deck, so to say, and we don't know.
I wanted to go over Gallant's. It's all turns while you have 0 or less memory.
Correct.
Okay.
This Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's Digimon effects.
Effects, right. So it's the Tyrant problem, because Tyrant's good, but Tyrant is outable by options.
Yep.
And it can be a pain in the ass.
But I think Tyrant is a fair card in that aspect.
Right. And it also costs.
I don't think I don't know if I'll ever complain about a card like Tyrant, which is a cool deck design in my opinion, where it's basically you make your Tyrant huge, tell your opponent to get fucked. Like, you can't get over this shit.
Yeah.
And if they have an option to out it, then they have to spend the memory to do it, which is, I think, a fair play. But you have cards like Magnamon, where it gets huge. You tell your opponent to get fucked because it has blocker. And then you also can't get rid of it with anything. That's fucking stupid.
And now we have access to the new Huang Kunmon, which is from, I forget which set it's from, BT18, that says this Digimon's attack target can't be redirected.
Or at least it's 18. I think it's 18.
Whichever set it's from. You already know which one I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. So now we have this God stack, swing, and once I remove that security, I get immunity 9 times out of 10. And you also can't block. So you cannot interact or redirect, right? Which is important because that shuts off Tyrant, that shuts off Analog Man, and whatever other redirect effects are in the game. All of that's completely shut off. So I'm just gonna get immunity, unsuspend. I'm 3 colors, because I encountered this today. I'm 3 colors, so I'm either just gonna drop like Heavens, I'm gonna drop DJ Dimension, Trident Arm, and I'm just gonna be ignorant as fuck and just whiteboard. And I think that, I know chat will love this, but I do think that's unhealthy for the game.
Yeah, I mean, even like I've said it before, but like I don't even like Imperial right now. Like, I mean, I love Imperial, but that deck did not need Primogenitor.
No,
that was such a stupid fucking
Partition was okay. Like Partition, as annoying as it is okay because it's like, all right, cool. My DNA stack that I spent resources creating this one stack with can now give me back some value when I leave. But then you add in Primogenitor, and it's just like, so I get to Digivolve for free, bottom deck your stuff, and if I get deleted again for whatever reason, I get Partition.
I think that's also the other issue with Primogenitor. I mean, I don't care too much about it, like for me personally, but it's a mental training for the deck, basically, right? You're just evoing for 2 costs into normally Imperial that's 3 to 4.
Yeah.
So you're doing that for 2 as a reduction. So I think that's where it gets crazy. And then it's like now you got the delay and then you have the protection effect about it. Because like compared to the Omnimon one, the Omnimon one plays a Digimon, plays a rookie for free, basically.
Yes.
For 2 costs instead. And that feels a little bit more, I guess, fair in a sense.
But then when you swing and you try to remove
the War Grand
that body,
right? All
of a sudden, Omni Ace pops out of nowhere, and you've got
that's different. Yeah, right. But I'm talking about like on those effects. I think the Primogenitor main effect is way stronger than the Omnimon's version.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because all you're doing is what? Maybe sometimes searching.
It's like, oh, my opponent has 2 memory. They can't digivolve into Imperial. Psych, Primogenitor,
and then still keep
Imperial. Unsuspend, swing. Like,
So that's where I think that's why Primogenitor feels strong. Because if Primogenitor said maybe the same thing was like you play a Vmon or something for free instead, I think people wouldn't be as up in arms about it per se.
And I just don't like I don't know. I just don't like that. It doesn't need, so here's 2 things I have a problem with Primogenitor about. I don't think the deck needed protection.
It never needed it
in that form.
No.
I think Partition was a really cool way to give it some sort of protection. Not real protection, but like at least you get value out of your things being removed, right? But then on top of that, I don't like how Imperial is built these days, where every card in the deck feels so necessary, you can't actually make a unique build anymore. There's no room to even... You
say that, and then I play against Imperial players who are playing stuff, and I'm like, how did you fit this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen different
space?
Stuff.
I've seen some different things. Like, you can put like Hex in there.
But I agree with you because it feels like you have your 50 card deck, and then they hit you with something, and you're just like, what did you cut so that you could fit this card? Because I know you don't have space.
Yeah. Well, that's the issue. Is like the deck doesn't have space with anything, and then when people do add it in random things like that, I already know that deck's not like, you get hit with something really weird like that from Imperial. That means they got so lucky because that deck is
exactly.
I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. But I just can't get behind like cards that I don't think the game needs more protection. Is what I'm getting at.
So like, let's talk about like the Xmon option real quick, because my point, what I was trying to make earlier, is that we don't need, I agree with Mike, we don't need cards like this, but if we're gonna have them, I'm okay with a card like Xmon.
That card is fair.
Unleash the Dragon Gene. It's coming in BT20. You may play 1 Digimon card with Dragomon or Examon in its text from your hand, with the play cost reduced by 3. So it gives you a free rookie, or an Examon hard drop, or a potential Draco X or Xmon X that we haven't seen yet.
or any of the other ones too.
Oh, right. Or any of the other ones.
Because
Right?
it's
Because
Xmon
they're all
and text.
Xmon and text, right? Yeah.
So you could play a champion for probably like 1 or 2 costs or whatever. You could play a ultimate for
for like 3, like 3, 4 total.
Yeah.
And then the alterns is when any of your Digimon with Dracomon or Xmon in its text would leave the battle area other than battle, delay 2 of your Digimon may DNA into Xmon in the hand. I feel like that's super fair because that means you need to get 2 bodies compared to the Omni option, which lets you use a body from your hand to do the blast DNA, which to be fair, Xamon Ace, I mean, that's just how Blast DNA works. Blast DNA lets you use the 1 Digimon on the field as well as the 1 Digimon in your hand. But with something like Primogenitor, where it's just, oh, when I would be removed, just Digivolved. Sure, it's not a DNA, but just Digivolve. With what Xamon is capable of doing, I think the Exa Ace is like a bottom deck, right? When you Digivolve?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something like a bottom deck, and it's just like we don't need to give, like, when these ace cards have such good effects as they should because they're ace cards, we don't need to give them easy ways to get into these cards outside of battle because it kind of defeats the point of an ace card. Ace is supposed to make your opponent think about swinging, and now you have Progenitor and this card and Omni card and I'm gonna remove your Digimon. Okay, cool. In the process of you battling, or in the process of you not battling, I'm just gonna Digivolve, remove your board, boom. What are you gonna do now?
Well, I think it's just the way like aces work. I think they try to make an idea where, because aces are so easy nowadays to like just pop, you gotta give it protection so you don't overflow.
I agree with protection to an extent, but like
I honestly disagree.
I think protection's fine.
I disagree with it. I think that aces should not be an easy out, but like, yeah, you're countering someone's play on their turn. I should be able to get around it still. It's my fucking turn. Like, fuck you. Like, if you just stopped my attack and, like, that's like playing around hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something. Like, just because you hand trapped me doesn't mean I should like, my whole turn should be ruined now. Like, I should still be able to try and, like, play through it or do something else.
I mean, you still can play
like,
through
if I get ace, I should be able to remove it. Like, I don't, like, it shouldn't have just this random protection effect now and make it that much harder for me to go through my turn.
And if it does,
I think the aces have actually become their own problem because of that.
Speak a little bit more.
Sorry, I think that aces have become their own problem because of that.
Yeah, well, like we still get like fair aces because like I'm playing a match day with Magna and like I can Digivolve Zudo on top of a Magnamon, but I gotta keep in mind that my Zudomon doesn't have any protection. And Zudomon's a great card, but I can't use it like without thinking about like what can happen afterwards. Do I give my opponent any advantage for doing this play? The same thing with a Vikemon Ace, because I also play that. But then you have, like, for example, Magna X playing Paladin mode. And you swing against Magna X because you're just like, screw it. The only thing I can do is swing. And then they go into Paladin mode. And you're like, damn, here is this level 7 that's going to strip all my sources, bottom deck all these cards. I got all these Digimon naked with no sources. That next turn he's going for 3 checks because he's going to bottom deck my field, potentially go for game. And of course, sure, like the risk is that you hit something in security, but how many decks nowadays are playing stuff that you got to be scared of in security? Sometimes you got to worry about the opposing 16k Paladin Ace. Sometimes you got to worry about an option card.
I mean, even
for what, if you swing with Zudo?
No, if you swing with a Paladin Ace.
Oh, got you.
Because I've had it happen before.
I think,
but right, it depends.
We're in a super wild ass like meta right now, so like you can get anywhere from purple hybrid. You got a bunch of
you
bombs.
Can hit a rivals.
But then you can verse Mirage. Nowadays, Mirage don't care about removal, and you just hit nothing.
Yeah.
And you verse, in my opinion, Imperial. Like you do the mirror.
Mirage is also playing the Paladin mode.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Imperial security is not scary anymore. So like the chance that you've in that mirror you hit something.
I'll tell you what's scary about it.
The one
playing against Imperial and you haven't seen the Paladin mode yet. Yeah. So you're like, if I swing this Paladin mode with no DP buffs, I hit the opposing Paladin mode.
They sometimes run like 1 gigadeath or 1 megadeath. Like realistically, their security is not
scary.
They
don't have room for that.
Their security is not scary anymore. And then you got again, I don't know what else in the meta. There's so many different things.
But like that's
Magna X is scary as AF to me.
Yeah, because you have
so many
minimum of 4D Digivolves in that deck.
Yes, you got first off, you got the 4 Magnamon right off the rip. That's in my opinion still the best card in the deck. I don't care about Magna X. Then you have your options where it could be Heavens, Ultimate Flare, a DG Dimension. It could be Triton's Arm, Like there's so many ways that you're gonna get effed by it. So like it's a crapshoot in like today's game right now.
So like I agree, like that's definitely a risk to running aces, but I don't know. I like Magna X because I look at a deck like Lord Knight and I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Like I'm gonna put you to, Mike made this point one time, I'm gonna put you to 1 memory, and then it's the Alphamon problem. You're gonna end up at 5 with a Lord Knight X and 2 more bodies on field, and you're just gonna swing out for an obnoxious amount of DP.
A Lord Knight X is doing that with 1 memory?
That they can.
They must have like mentals and
and of course, yes. I mean,
okay,
yes, because they run.
They ain't doing jack shit with 1 memory.
No, but it's the Alphamon. Do you put Alphamon to 1 memory and they go all the way up without like a? Back then it was training boost. You needed at least 1 sometimes if they didn't have the right setup.
No training boost back then.
Sorry, memory boost.
Memory boost.
Or a cool boy setup.
Yeah.
So nowadays instead of those, yes, you have mental training setup. You have scrambles now.
To be fair though, I think back then all it needed was like a cool boy on board.
Yeah, a cool boy
and they gained memory through their line. Remember, it was I think they gained 2 memory through their line.
But so does Lord Knight with that respect, because you've got Gobbly Ogre, trash card gain memory.
Yep.
You've got other stuff that you can spit out to gain memory if you digivolve on them. So yeah, they might not end up as egregiously as Alphamon, but they can still do things on 1 memory as long as they have like whether it's a training boost or a memory boost or something.
I mean, dude, Imperial can go to
Imperial on 1 memory with 1 Rookie and Raising and a Davison can still end up on a Pyojamon putting you to 1 memory
and keep your board. Actually, they can keep like it's pretty ridiculous. Depending on what the rookie is, they can keep their turn. They don't have to pass.
Yeah, depending on what the rookie is. Yeah, they don't have to use the end of turn DNA.
If they have a memory setter Davis on the field and then a Davison can, you can do your entire turn and end up on 5 memory.
Right.
You end up on 5 memory after you do the Digivolve.
It's ridiculous.
And I don't know. I think that's another issue entirely.
Right. But so that's a good point as well, because I've always made the argument that the one thing in Digimon that makes the game fair is when decks don't abuse the shit out of the memory system. We've seen it. We saw it in BT9. We hit those decks sometime after. We were fair for a bit. And we've come back around to a point where decks are just slapping the shit out of the memory gauge, saying it doesn't matter.
Takumi Kazuki. That's that shouldn't exist. Like, you shouldn't be able to just put someone to 10 and then they die. Like, that doesn't make fucking sense.
I'll put you to 10, psych. I'll set the memory to 3.
Like, that's so dumb. Like, I'm sorry, but like, is that not what Alphamon got hit for?
No, but I agree with you. Right? I remember when we saw BT14 Fenry
Alphamon got hit because of being OTK and people would.
It was the Door of Gray, the Second one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, manipulating the memory gauge and then OTKing you.
Yeah.
Is that not what it got hit for?
But what's the difference between
Takamiki?
When Fenry came out, when original BT14 Fenry came out, I looked at that and I looked at you guys and I was like, didn't we just hit Alphamon for having Sec +1 with unsuspending memory manipulation? And now here's this card that says, oh, the turn doesn't end until your opponent's at 3 or more memory, with Alliance spitting out, what was it? 1, 2, 3. You spit out 4 because of Soul Lugar.
Oh, you're gonna count Soul, yeah.
You spit out 4 bodies. Yep. And you have 2 unsuspends because you have a Soul unsuspend and the Fenry when attacking unsuspend.
And back then you just Chimeramon too.
Yeah, and then you just Chimeramon forget and then you had Black Gotto for Rush.
And then you have the BT15 version where you have the Dino B, so that's 2 more extra bodies because you could
do that in Uko.
Played or another Dino
or
B
Sethmon
or whatever, and that has Rush as well.
And sure, yes, BT14 Fenry didn't see a lot of competitive play. Before we get anybody in our comments talking about that shit, I want to hear it. Don't even come here with it. But
it saw a decent amount.
It didn't see like as much.
It saw enough.
Not as much success as Takumi Kazuchi.
Sure, but it still had tops.
Because like Takumi Kazuchi,
you're making it sound like that. Right, you're making it sound like that deck was like ass.
BT14 Fenry never won a tournament. It only ever topped. Takumi Kazuchi has actually won multiple.
Yeah,
has actually won.
Yes.
I actually don't know that either.
Yes.
I don't know if Takumi.
It's won at least a couple. And I mean, and to be fair, I mean, Takumi Kazuchi, I'm sure you've played it many of times.
Yeah.
Turn 2, all of a sudden, you're dying to Takumi Kazuchi swinging sideways because it's dumb.
Yeah.
I get to go up my whole line and drop this thing and rewind time.
Let's take another quick pause. Let's talk about Baomon. I can't. I love Lance. We just saw Lance. I love Lance. I cannot believe he thinks that Takamika deserves to be hit over Balmon, which I think is ridiculous. I think that makes no sense to me at all. Why would you hit the secret?
Mike doesn't play this game the way that Dan and I do, and this is Mike's unfettered takes. Okay, just want you guys to know that. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Still play the fucking game.
Sure, not guess. Go on.
You don't even play the game the way Dan does at this point.
You don't.
You're as casual as me,
how much time do you get Takamika Suchi'd?
You're just as casual as me, bucko.
Go ahead. I'm just saying that to reinforce your point.
Anyways, Balmon's way more fucking. Balmon was broken when it came out in BT14.
Yes, it was.
And again, just logically speaking here, if I'm a card company, I'm not hitting the secret rare, I'm hitting the fucking egg. Like, if there's an easy, like, I understand that the egg makes the deck work, blah, 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 blah. There's another Balmon you can use. It fucking isn't as good, but I'm just saying, like, deck's still playable then. That Balmon needs to fucking go. You should not be able to just Digivolve from trash.
Every single time you trash a card, you can Evo.
So stupid. I thought that was
not once per turn either, so it's like, it makes it just crazy.
When BT14 came out, I was still playing the game really heavy back then. I remember seeing that and I was like, that's fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. That's so stupid. That shouldn't be allowed.
You literally just raise, and as long as you have like a mental training, or you have like I think it's 2 or 3 memory, you can establish full Fenry line.
Yeah.
No problem.
And like back then it was like I did understand your point about it being like Alphamon where you get the security +1 on suspense, blah blah blah, and then 3 memory. I didn't care so much back then about it like not passing turn until after 3 memory, because it was kind of like they have to put me to a certain amount of memory. I can't be choked then. Like that was the plus side against playing against Fenry. If they couldn't OTK you, then like you got to start off with a good amount of memory. But it was the Balmon. That's what always pissed me the fuck off. It was never being like unsuspended OTK'd or whatever. It was the fact that they got to do it for free. I think that's so fucking stupid.
Because the crazy thing about it too is like, let's say you have whatever, it doesn't matter. 3, 4, 5, the 4, 5, and 6 in trash already or something. You can just trash something that's completely irrelevant and be like, oh, let me just take that Evo. In fact, trash something else that's irrelevant. Oh, let me grab that other one, an Evo. And then you just keep going up the line.
Yeah.
So like you just kept going. It's just like,
well, like, no, Balmon does require you to digivolve into the card you trash.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was just anything that was trash.
No.
Yeah. Skull Belushi, though.
It's been
Skull Belushi will let you digivolve into any undead or something else in trash when you trash it. Because that's what current Fenry does. They play like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah. But just still the point, it's just still like unnecessarily crazy.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they're playing trainings. They're playing the fucking training. So it's like, really, it's not like, not only are they digivolving for free into the card, right? They're fucking getting the reduced cost from training. I just hate it all. I hate it so much. I hate shit like that. I played Imperial. I understand. I'm a scumbag too. I get it. I think Imperial should be hit. So no one comes at me. But
I guess my question for you guys is, if you were to put out a ban list right now at this very moment prior to Nats, what's on your ban list?
D&K, Davis and Ken, Balmon.
I agree with Davis and Ken.
You don't think Balmon?
No. So I say that because there are people who would rather see the champions hit. And I'm okay with the champions if Davis and Ken gets hit.
So I do see that argument a lot.
I do as well. I do.
And I understand the memory gain is really broken, so I totally get that.
But I don't even want Davis and Ken hit. I want Davis and Ken like banned, because I hate those sacky fucking one-ups.
Well, unfortunately for you, they're definitely not
hitting that yet.
I could maybe see them hitting the champions, but honestly, it's also just
I think I'd faster see Primogenitor.
So here's when it comes to the Imperial, when those champions came out, it was about
BT12.
They were irrelevant.
Right.
What made it relevant?
Davis and Ken. And that is my biggest argument.
Obviously the new Pyodramon makes it way better.
Sure.
But like,
you could do the same thing with the old Pyodramon.
It didn't feel the same even with using those, because because he built it back in BT12 and we played a lot of it, and like, it was like, all right, cool. You can do add some memory, cool and stuff. I don't care still. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, whatever. But like D&K makes it feel way more, just because like, all right, you gain +2 memory, fine. You're getting a 3rd memory for even, but you're also getting the trash sources as well. And then now your Pyojima also has partition, yada yada yada, suspends everything, swing over things, blah 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 blah. So like those are the 2 cards that are like the strongest cards in the deck, in my opinion. So at least if you drop down the D and K, you get that less consistency of playing a free rookie as well, free search basically at free search because you're going to play the searching Wormon Vmon. Then free memory gain.
And they all have end of turn DNA, so it doesn't matter what you do that turn because you digivolve for 2, tap D and K, gain a memory, digivolve your other champion, go to 2, DNA, gain memory, back to 0, and I have a Pyojimon.
And then, sword strip and all that other stuff.
Do we know this deck or do we know this deck?
So like D and K, when there's like multiple, one doesn't feel as bad, so I can see it being at 1, no problem. Like you could still pop off. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it wrong.
Right.
But like when it's multiple D and K, that's where it feels like, God damn, this is all.
I'm still going to very heavily rage when they see their one of Davis and Ken.
Sure, of course.
But if they don't establish turn 2 Davis and Ken every fucking game, then I'm a little bit happy.
Because anytime nowadays, I feel like, no offense to any Imperial player, especially if you're a Nats, I feel like a lot of Imperial players who don't see Davis and Ken, they don't know how to play the game.
I agree.
That's how it feels in my opinion when I played against players who don't see their Davis and Ken, and then they're playing Imperial, and then they're like, I don't know how to get to my Pyojimons now, or I don't know how manage my resources because I don't have free rookies to play, free searchers and stuff.
You're 1,000% right about that too. Because I played the mirror a bunch of times, like testing with and helping like people build their versions. It's like because they didn't play the deck like pre-BT16,
exactly,
they just can't comprehend what it's like to like have to play around it. Or like, or like if there's like something on the field, like you can't, I don't know, like we've talked about it before. If there's a floodgate on the field, it's like people like can't. Like, they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, bro, are you fucking? Did you never play this deck before? Like, or ever play this game before? Like, because in my like Imperial, I've always vouched that it's a deck that can out almost anything now. Like it's like so versatile if you know how to play it properly and you don't just put on your helmet and do swings. Like you can clear the board so fucking well with that deck. You can play around almost anything with that deck, in my opinion.
Well, so here's the other thing on why Davis and Ken needs to be hit. Pyojimon is a very good card, and it should stay a very good card and a very fair card as long as it's not able to facilitate its dirty, disgusting fucking game plan of source stripping. Because because you're already putting, generally speaking, 5 sources underneath, because you'll come up from raising with a rookie champion, another rookie chip. So you have 5 sources underneath. There's no reason Pyojimon should be taking away. Yes, I have to say Pyojimon should be taking away 3 sources because of Davis and Ken from any of your opponent's Digimon. And if you have multiple Davis and Kens, just say bye to your entire board sources and then preventing them from being able to unsuspend. Like, it makes that when attacking, if your opponent has no Digimon, or suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, if this didn't suspend and unsuspend, you might as well have just said when attacking unsuspend.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that too. I get that.
I agree on Davis and Ken on that part. I do agree with Balmon.
Well, before we start talking about Balmon, I want to finish up the Davis and Ken. The other thing with Davis and Ken that I think makes it really broken, while also making it very important to Imperial, is that Imperial really didn't have a good way to reset its board state after something bad happened to it before.
Yes,
correct.
So like,
but that's what partition's for too, as well.
Yeah, but usually a lot of times I feel like if they get rid of the Imperial somehow, then sometimes they're also clearing the small bodies too. But like, that used to happen all the time, right? Because you could. Before we had the deck the way it is now, you would use the starter dragon mode and slam out 2 bodies. So those bodies always ended up dying one way or another. I feel like I never got my turn back with like them on the field still.
Never give them.
Which is like back. You shouldn't, right? Like if you're good at the game, you're not giving.
Yeah, don't give them another free DNA. I mean?
So like, but then it was like if your board got wiped, you were so fucked with Imperial before because now you had nothing in raising and you had nothing on the field. And it was like you're just dead. Because you had to find all your pieces all over again. Like, and it's a lot of cards. You get the DNA, so you need 2 champions, you need all this shit, right? What Davis and Ken did for that deck now is give it that ability to like breathe again. So okay, you wiped my board. Next turn, I now have let's say you have 2 Davison on the field. That's 2 rookies.
Free.
Assuming they're searchers.
Free.
So now you just search 6 cards. Presumably
8 times out of 10, you're grabbing pieces to do your next play.
Yeah. So now you're in, and you could literally just go back and do a DNA play again.
I always hated that DNA Digimon could swing.
I was about to say, and then
I
DNA
always
Digimon,
hated that shit,
pseudo
man.
rush in a sense because it's a new Digimon, so it's allowed to swing, which is such a weird thing. But like,
I hated that back in BT8, and I still hate it today in BT fucking 20.
Well, because I think when you think about it from back then, right? They probably assumed, okay, if they're DNAing, then that means one of them was brought up from raising, so it kind of makes sense.
Makes sense.
But when you look at the game now, it's like that's not the case usually.
Yeah.
Usually you're just
these Digimon are just appearing out of thin air.
Yeah.
So now,
oh look, I got a Vmon and a Wormmon.
Yeah, right. So now it's like, you know, easy free Pyoja swings after that, and just like crazy.
But also, so we can talk about Balmon next. Sure. But I also want to finish out what I think. So Balmon, Mirage has to go to 1 at this point. It's lived too long.
I pray that Bandai will fucking ban Mirage, but I know they won't.
No, they won't.
But my wish list,
and it will remain.
Honestly,
it will remain the best one of Blue Mega ever.
Almost everything that Mike names, I will say should just be banned straight up.
I agree,
and I know that they won't. But go on.
Yeah. So Mirage to 1, and if they're too, honestly, also maybe a hot take, the Galgamon that has the jam.
No, not a hot take, because I was gonna put that bitch there too.
Okay, cool.
Not hot talking because I have more to add. Just that in that deck, but we're going to
I think the Galgamon needs to go to 1 as well because that card's. This is one of the big issues of Bandai. I'll talk about
that card. Pushed that deck even further.
Yes, I, for the life of me, cannot fathom their thought process. They were like, okay, the Balukamon that gives jamming is too generic. We don't like that it has it on an egg.
Oh, that's not even my issue with it, but continue.
We're going to give Mirage this now that has jamming. We're also going to give it these other traits for Galaxy, and we're going to I just think the deck got mashed together. It's just fucked. I hate it all.
Yes.
I hate it all. What else do I need on that list? Okay, maybe this is a hot take. This might be a hot take. You guys might yell at me for this one. I think it's time we put the rest of the memory gaining cards to 1.
0. I spoke to Dan about this shit already. Did we not talk about this on pod?
When did you guys talk about this on pod?
I thought we all talked about this on pod.
I think we talked about it on pod when the original
Hammer Spark.
Oh, so maybe it was Frieza Force.
We definitely talked about
it. Was Frieza Force.
When Hammer Spark got hit, I remember being like, I don't understand why Jack got hit.
We'll get there because that's a good one.
Because I think that those should also go to 1.
That's a good point. We'll get there. Not a hot take from me.
Okay, yeah, and we talked about this months ago. I said it doesn't make sense to me that Hammer Spark got put to 1. But I like Blinding Ray too. Fuck that card. Gravity Crush has always seen random decks using it. And
random sacky
just
bullshit.
Stupid fucking bullshit. And I don't know. So that's probably my others. Trying to think if there's anything else that I don't know if Bandai's gonna go this crazy and hit all this stuff. If I'm being honest.
Think they'll hit Magnax? Would you hit? No, let me rephrase. Would you hit Magnax? Would you limit Magna X as a secret?
It's so tough because that card really does the heavy lifting for the deck, in my opinion. And usually, like when I try to think about if Bandai's gonna hit a card, I try to think about it rationally and not just like I hate this fucking card, so I want it hit.
Yep.
I try to think about the deck and I'm like, if you're gonna hit a deck, which cards enable the bullshit, right? So like we talked about Alphamon earlier, so I'll use that as a good example. The Doru Greymon that had the security attack +1, like that to me was what enabled the bullshit for that deck, and it was an effective hit because once that deck got hit, I know one person who tops with it since,
and his name is Lychee King.
You know, so it's like I think that was a fantastic hit. That was a good way to like nerf that fucking deck.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say for Magna X because
it's just that card is
the problem.
It's the deck. There's no way you hit that deck without hitting a secret.
Unless they go super crazy and hit the security Magnamon.
That's tough.
I don't like. I think that card is bullshit. If I'm being honest.
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
I think that card's bullshit. But I also don't think that that's the main.
But it's not
reason
the
with the deck, right?
But if they, I agree that if they were going to try to hit Magna X, they would probably hit that Magnamon. Because it's
I don't think they can
one
just
of
start
the
with
only
the
4-ofs outside of the rookie lineup. Because everything else is.
At least me personally, I have never seen them start with a card like that. I've never seen them just take away the super rare.
No.
Take away.
I mean, look, how many cards were fucking destroyed in trying to level APOC? We got 2 ban lists, right?
And Anubis was getting hit from it too, right? So it was,
well, that was the final hit,
decks, right?
It was the final hit. Well, that's what I mean.
So it wasn't just APOC. They were trying to nerf multiple
decks. Yes.
So it's like I can't think of a time where they've just been like, all right, this super rare right now, this secret rare right now, like
never. I don't.
But they've
do
already.
Have a super
if you think about it, though, they've already. Did you ask if they have a secret rare that's banned?
A super
rare.
Yeah, I guess outside of Anubis.
Oh, okay. No, that's it.
Yeah,
it's just
I think Anubis and APOC were both first secret in or super in SR. Yeah.
We have promos that have.
Yeah, promos.
But yeah, I can't like. But the issue with Magna, if you look at it, actually, technically they've already hit the deck once.
This is true. Yes. Yeah. Awakening of the Golden Knight, which thank God they did, because realistically, if people could play, I mean, I still play 3 Flame Dramon because card is good, but if you could play Flame Dramon and then just end up on Magna X because of Awakening for 3 memory,
that's crazy.
So, like, if you think about it like that, they've already hit it once.
That's true.
Do they hit it again?
Do they just hit the Magna X?
I don't think so. I don't think that they hit Magna X.
But that's a fair point.
I think that if they did hit Magna X, I think that'd be fucking insane. If I'm being honest, like I can't see them just hitting Magna X like that. At least in my opinion, like it's a really good deck still, but it's not like it's the. This is still the best deck in the format. You have to play this deck if you want to win events. Like it's not like that. So, yeah. All
right.
Magna X is perfectly fine deck. Only issue is just because it's tricolor.
I would argue you do need to hit the Huang Kun. It should not have access to Huang Kun.
Yeah, I was going to get to a Huang Kun.
Are you going to put that on your list?
Hold on.
All right, Dan, what's the list?
What's your list? What's your list?
Like this, as someone who's been playtesting this shit for Nats, Balmon, correct. My only issue is that Taki just does so much, but it is what it is. That's what it was designed for. I think Balmon's the one that needs to go.
Agreed.
Mirage, 2-1.
Yep.
That's not the only card that needs to get hit. Here's my reasoning because of Hexablow. We're gonna talk about 2 cards. I guess 3 because both Huang Kuns are busted, in my opinion.
That's fair.
So Galgamon, the jamming part is not even the crazy part, because if you think about it, they can get jamming any other way.
From a lot of different ways.
Because you have a bunch of rookies with
it's just an added plus.
No, that's not the problem. I promise you, when you play against this new version, I know you haven't really been playing to play testing, like especially for Nats and stuff, just because you're not in it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you what the new Mirage has become, is the most annoying, toxic,
control.
Dan is
right?
like
Secon style
disgusting.
Deck. It's just you don't understand.
I know we're all on a rumor now, but if you could see the on Dan's face right there.
So maybe Lucas will like
down in his feels with this.
Like, because what that Galgamon does so much. That card push to the top for Mirage to be able to do Mirage shenanigans with Huang Kun. So let me explain why I mentioned Huang Kun. And I think Huang Kun should be considered a hit because of how generic it is. And no matter what deck, I think that card should always is now a blue stable for any blue deck, for real. For me, it was just bluefish stuff, which is fine. When you realize how generic it is and how many ways you could combo with it, it's kind of crazy. Because one, when did you? I think it's on play as well. Play level any generic level 3 source, right? Here's again the problem, right? Galmon, you gonna play Galmon. Guess what happens? You draw a card. You go into Galgamon for two. Both players draw a card. Yep. When your opponent has 8 or more cards, you gain a memory. Guess what? That Galgamon underneath also gains a memory. So it's a free evolution. So Galgamon is always a free evolution every single time, unless it's early game. So now that you can loop that, like legit. I've in my playtesting, you continue looping. If you have multiple Huankuns and if you have multiple Galgamon, you can just loop it, and then you get to the point where you're Mirage. So all right, you got 4 cards. You think you're chilling, right? You draw one from a Galgamon early on, right? Which means, maybe it was a 1-cost Evo or something instead. Then you go to the Huankun. You play out Huankun. In fact, play the other Galgamon. That's 2 cards drawn. Then you go to another Galgamon. That's going to be 3 cards right there, easily drawn. Mind you, we haven't even talked about something that got bounced, probably. You know what I'm saying? And then you go to Mirage. You're already gaining a bunch of memory, plus or training. And now what happens is you go Huankun effect. You're going to take one of those, Galmons, put it underneath, and then you unsuspend and you swing again. And then you go into another Huankun or something, play that Galmon, you just play it out again, and you just keep drawing. And then you just keep going through the cycle of just drawing. And then you go burst mode because that Thomas probably got played free earlier in the game. And now burst mode has multiple sources. Every time you do it, you just keep doing it, and you're just like, all right, you're back down to 8. Now you're back to 9 because Galmon. Swing back to 8, go to another Galgamon, bring back to 9, and you just continue with this constant 8 to 9 loop that just happens. And like you gain, there's so much free memory gain, it is crazy. So the reason why I mentioned hitting those as well, the moment they hit Mirage, they're not gonna hit Hexablow.
Yeah.
So now what happens with Hexablow? Hexablow goes to 4. Hexablow becomes this giant stack or whatever that's like, you can't swing. All right, cool. I'm gonna swing 2 checks, unsuspend 2 checks.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Mind you, he's also stunning your board base because you can't do jack shit unless you have 4 or 5 sources.
And he's bouncing shit.
And then they're also playing nowadays the bond of friendship. So now that's also bottom decking shit as well and getting rid of things as well. So like you get to this point where it's like you can just do it again as well. So if you hit just Mirage, it's gonna switch to the Hexablow control, and you're gonna do 2 checks every single time, and you can't do anything about it unless you have the instant out. So that's why I think like multiple cards in Mirage needs to hit because they're so generically good that you can do the same climb you do. Instead of go to the Mirage, you go to the Hexablow, you possibly bottom deck a Tamer or something, and you just control board, right? So that's why I would consider Huankun, Galgamon. I wouldn't even consider the Galmon. That's how crazy that deck has that blue shenanigans.
Because it's
that blue pile has become.
It's blue pile. Just like purple pile.
It's just so crazy to me. I know like people are probably gonna be like, oh, you're complaining because best deck.
No, we're complaining because this deck has been meta for what?
I'm
7
complaining
sets
because
now?
the deck turned into from an OTK deck to an annoying ass like control deck that just legit that goes.
And it punishes an uninteractive.
I'm gonna build up a whole bunch of Mirages on board and just destroy your sack, and then Hexablow is gonna swing 4 checks sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you do about that? You can't do anything about it, certain decks. And it just gets so crazy. That's why I would consider that one. Now, the Huankun you mentioned, right? That Huankun also gets played in Mirage.
Yeah.
It's not just Magna X.
Yep.
So first off, on play on when Digivolve it becomes can't be killed by battle.
Yep.
All right, it's not that bad. It's not an issue. The issue is when you have a non-jamming Mirage and you're like, oh, this hit into a 16 gate. Never mind. It doesn't die. And then you unblockable as well.
Yeah. So now unredirectable is the bigger problem.
Yeah. So
because if it was unblockable, I think that's fine. If it was unblockable. But then you're also shutting off Tyrant, you're shutting off Machine Dramon, and whatever other redirects.
So like you think you're gonna die as well, and then it just doesn't die too. So it just gets crazy, like how much just generic stuff. It's to the point where the deck has become you run 4 that Galmon, you run 2 Siakus, you run 2 Madokis.
4 Galmon and then, all floodgates.
And then you run 2 Otama. And legit, it's like you just Huankun all the, you don't even care. It's like, oh, I evoed over my, floodgate. The only thing I got, Psych Huankun, play it out, and now you can't do whatever I want you to stop you from doing. So like it just gets so crazy because like you got Mirage that can just trash security. Then you sometimes you just got 2 floodgates chill on board, and sometimes certain decks, certain situations, you can't do anything because Mirage is kind of like a floodgate, right? You draw a card, whoops, I gain memory. Oh, you can't gain memory anymore either because I have Madoki. Oh, you can't also reduce evolutions or reduce play costs. So you get this weird ass, like I said, blue pile control ass deck, and it just gets crazy.
It's straight up blue good
stuff. Can I ask you how you feel about, was it Ko and Seo? Is that on your list?
He hates that card.
Because my problem now, so now let's get to the others.
Talking into Mike.
let's get to the other Mirage deck, which is the Galaxy one. The Galaxy one kind of fell off, in my opinion, because how strong regular Mirage became with Blue Pile.
It's fucking crazy.
Everything in that deck is free, basically. Like Lunamon, free 2 memory for no reason. Mind you, regular Mirage plays Lunamon sometimes too.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I witnessed it. I'm just like, this ain't real life. So that deck, you climb up your stack, you're getting a whole bunch of free memory and a whole bunch of reductions. And sign code, both of them are just like, I'm just gonna do free evos. Anything is free evo, basically. As long, and the crazy part is not even this has to be on the same stack. So the point is, you get to like that
any of your Digimon.
You get to that second stack that you go the Lunamon effect or whatever, and then it's like, all right, cool, free evo to Mirage. Gain 2 memory for no reason. Another 2 memory. IPM can be free. Whatever other Digimon they decide to play, because that.
Let me tell you, Dan hates when he sees free IPM.
Oh my god, it's so dumb because it's like, I get it, I have no problem as a free ace. It's like, all right, as an ace play, that's the point. But when you just free evo just for the free evo, it's like, come on, like, why is this a thing? What else? You also play Ancient Guru, Hexa, Ryugamon, Mirage,
all the annoying
Apollomon,
literally
Apollomon for the Galaxy.
Any good mega ever?
Like, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure when that set came out, that was EX5, right? I said, I'm pretty sure I said, this deck is trash right now, but if you read these cards rebusted because they're all generic as AF, and it's just all like, the moment good 6s come out that you don't need to use Dianamon and Apollomon, which they still use Apollomon just because it gives that extra
because
push.
you still get to swing for like 3 checks and delete a Digimon.
Easy. Right. So like, besides that one, like, you just imagine, it's like, because we talked about it, I was like, yo, what's gonna happen when Bust is level 6 pop out? You can just go into this free as well. Like, why would you not do that? And guess what happened? Future Mirage. People realize, oh, we can do this with Mirage. Oh, great, Ancient Guru. We can do that for Ancient Guru as well. Ryugamon, which is not the best, but it's really good in niche situations.
Stupid in that deck because of decode.
Right, exactly. And then you have Hexablow, which Hexablow is, again, I just talked about how great Hexablow is as a card, new one at least.
Hey, whoa. The old one's good.
The old one's dog trash. All right. So that's why I think that team needs to hit. I think they need to look at the Lunamon as well, just because it's just so much free. That's the problem, I think. What else?
You said Balmon,
the blue stuff.
Davis.
Yeah, Davis.
I feel like that's all you would hit. I don't think you would hit anything else.
He's definitely not hitting the Jack Ray.
Yeah, right.
He's a scum lord.
I guess you should. I mean, at this point, maybe, but like,
I guess
me personally, I would say this: Jack Ray's coming in. Like, Jack Ray has come in and out of metas. How many metas where Jack Ray was relevant?
I wonder why.
Okay,
let's analyze why.
It's a good point, actually, but let's think about how many times I feel like,
because if you think about a lot of the hold on a sec. Think about all the top tier purple decks, right? How many of them was like 4 Jack Rays guaranteed?
Not many.
1 or 2 decks.
Well, let's take a deeper look at that. How many times has there really been top tier purple decks besides the APOC and Anubis meta, right?
Quite a bit. Those.
Beelzemon
had its own problem with memory, though.
Right, you didn't need it.
Beelzemon, what else?
And Lilith Loop.
Yes.
Lilith Loop, which
you're correct that
that's what I'm saying. The 2 decks that really needed it, that was purple, was Lilith Loop and now Purple Hybrid.
But you bring up a good point on why Beelzemon didn't need it, for as much memory as that could seemingly print with its, jackpot mills.
Right.
Because you put a lot of cards in trash, you should be able to use Jack Raid, but you don't need it because the deck facilitates everything on its own. Jack Raid.
You're also milling everything, and there was no way to, like, if you got rid of your Jack Raids, you were just kind of fucking toast.
I'm sure there would be ways they could bring back, if they wanted to. But
was it Matt? You could bring back an option card.
Yeah,
that's the one that Purple Hybrid.
And so Purple Hybrid, I think, is the perfect example of why we need to hit these cards. And I'm not just arguing for Jack Raid. I am arguing for Jack Raid, Gravity Crush, Blinding Ray, and Hammer Spark, not to 1, but all to 0. Because
I think 1's fine.
1 is fine.
I think 1's fine. Okay, all right, I'll let you talk.
maybe one, but I agree
I'll
that the cards need to
present
be
your
hit.
case.
Because, all right, so my argument, red hybrid. Everybody talks about, well, you don't use the card if you're not pushing for game. Exactly. Like, Blitz Omni, okay, whatever. You got that, Chief. Like, it's whatever. But I put my opponent to 1. Surely they can't go for game. It's like, Gravity Crush. What you got now? Like, they won that turn, so it didn't matter. The drawback didn't matter. And the other argument is that the inherent drawback of, oh, well, it doesn't come out of security. You don't get it, like its security effect. Yeah, on a rookie, you also don't. And the second part of, oh, well, at the end of the turn, I lose 2 memory. Not if you put your opponent to 1 memory, end turn, they have a memory setter, and then they go to 3. Which, how many decks are playing memory setters? There's a fair amount playing memory setters in today's day and age. And even if they don't have a memory setter, sometimes you didn't have a better play to choke, so don't act like you fucking did, right? So, Gravity Crush.
I don't think you needed to yell at the audience.
I know, right? That was kind of
That felt
rude.
personal.
It's because I know what's gonna come in the comments. I can already see the comments. Well, Gravity Crush, if I put my opponent to 1, then no, don't miss me with it.
I think for Jack Raid, right? And you bring up how many of the meta decks were using Jack Raid. I think a better counterpoint to that is when decks were using those cards, right? Like let's say any of the fucking 0 cost options like gain memory. Like when decks used those, other cards were hit instead. Like for all of them, right? Every time any deck has abused those cards, other cards were hit, and it was like, okay,
MDF.
Yeah, for the specifically.
Yeah, but that card needs to get hit.
I'm not saying
X4 when they were using Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray.
Yeah.
Like so,
but they hit that before the Merva version came out.
When did Merva come out?
They hit X4 before that Merva version came out.
Did they?
The reason why the Merva version came out was because X4 got hit.
Okay.
No, I thought everyone was playing them all at the same time.
Nah.
I also thought there was a time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone was using them at the same time.
Nah, X4 got hit. Remember, X4, when was that set?
Because
BT11?
that was we got that hit like 2 after BT10.
That was BT10.
But
the Merva version did not come out after. That came out after EX4 got hit.
Regardless.
It's been a while.
EX4, Cross 4.
Regardless.
Why did people stop using that version? What happened?
What version? Merva?
Yeah. Merva Cross. What happened? Why did people stop using that version?
Deck got outclassed by everything else. Hunters is a better deck.
I mean, I agree. Hunters is a better deck.
Yeah, it just got outspec because that was Black or Gray meta.
Yeah.
That was Black or Gray meta.
And then BT12 came out.
Why am I thinking that? Oh, you know what it is? You know what we're thinking of? Why we thought that? We're combining the second wave of cross support with the first wave of cross support.
The fuck second wave did they get?
The second wave they got was the big fucking
the giant one.
7?
Yeah. I think we were combining both waves of cross support.
Yeah, that's when it was.
And Dan is right. Yeah. I think we combined. In my head, it was all fucking. Yeah, it's been so long.
It has. It's
2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
Years. Yep, so you're right about that, actually. So I take back that point. You're right.
Bragg don't tell him that shit.
Well, I gotta fucking.
Oh, shit, it'd be easier if you guys just listen to me.
Yeah, Barney.
Shut up, Dan.
But usually I think a lot of those other cards got hit. I was actually so surprised when they hit Hammer Spark.
Because it felt random, but was it random? Because
I don't think it was random.
Because it really was. It was the Ancient Guru Bond version. Because remember, they got the Bond of Friendship before we did the promo. And that deck was wreaking kind of crazy over in JP, so I understood. Not
to mention, I mean, imagine if I want to say this. This is why the card should be hit. It's not just those cards, but it's any card, any deck that just like really feeds into this memory manipulation where we really shouldn't have it. Where is the time when putting your opponent to 1 really meant I win the game? Like when it happens today, it's like, I would say 5 to 6 out of times you win. But back then, when you put your opponent to 1, if they didn't have something good to come back with, it's like 8 to 9 times like you lock down the chances for yourself.
I'll give you a counter argument. When
not surprised.
Back in the day, like if I got put to 1 and let's say I was playing blue deck, I can Hammer Spark to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that anymore. And that's because how many decks abuse memory systems now?
Yes.
All of them. I think every color does in some way, some form.
Well, all the let's put it this way: all the meta decks.
Yeah.
All the decks in high competitive play.
Dan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Are meta decks multiple colors? Would it be right to say that every color has a way to?
Yes.
Is that fuck you, Ronnie?
Black doesn't. I guess Alphamon. I guess.
Alpha. We were just talking about Lord Knight. Is Lord Knight not a black color deck?
It's a purple deck. No, honest to God, it's a purple deck.
I understand,
Mainly.
but is it black as well?
The card is black.
Do you not see color? Are you one of those people?
Yes, I don't.
But like, so I feel like every deck has a way to abuse the memory system now.
But no,
which brings me full circle. Even a better reason to hit those fucking memory cards.
So my point on why I said that is because like, all right, let's look at the Liberator decks. I love all the Liberator decks, but they just play so fairly, right?
So I don't know. I think the issue with this game, how this game evolved, power creep, however you want to say it. I don't know if it's necessarily an issue, more as it's just how the game has gotten. I don't remember the last time they released a deck that I didn't think was good. I think most of the decks and most of the support they release now are good. The issue is that the stuff that becomes really good, like meta, is because it's broken. That's like, I don't think, like, Bandai card designers have actually been really good the last few sets. Like, they don't really release cards to me anymore that I'm like, oh, this is fucking garbage. I see the card, I read it, I'm like, this is a good card for this deck. But a lot of times, like, just being good isn't enough.
Right. So I agree heavy with that point because there are a lot of good decks. Like in a bubble, Sendril and Zafaga both, well, maybe not Zafaga yet, but like Sendril, I feel like Sendril reads to be a good yellow control deck. It does what yellow does best. DP reduction, you're using tokens, you can get extra attacks in, you're negging security Digimon, so you don't have to worry about dying. You have a little bit of ace plays because you've got Cherubi Ace you can use and some other aces. Sendril reads like it should be a good deck, and it's not because it's too fucking fair. It's good, but it's too fair. And then you have a deck like 7 Great Angels. TK was hit, and I remember we were here like, oh, thank God TK got hit, because TK was the entire fucking reason that deck can set up the way that it does. And we had people tell us, Lance, that, oh man, TK was the wrong hit. They should have hit something else. And then come full circle to realize.
How much testing did Lance put into that deck after TK got hit, bro?
For Magna, for the yellow vaccine.
Bro. Dude, and he was like, man, I see why TK got hit. That really was my game plan. Yes, it was, right?
Correct.
But even in its current state, it's still a good deck. It's not busted as it used to be because they can't manipulate security the way that they used to. But that
Yellow Vaccine Armor is not even used anymore.
Well, Yellow Vaccine Armor isn't used, but 3 Great Angels is still a good deck, partly because of Shadow Serafi Ace. But even without Shadow Serafi Ace, the deck is just like Ace Central, and they've still got ways to manipulate security through their Digimon, but then also gaining memory, gaining advantage, setting up board, and just overall be like a good all-around deck, just in a way that Sendril isn't capable of doing somehow. And when you put the 2 decks next to each other, because they're both mono yellow, it's like, what do they do better? And 3 Great Angels is just better at manipulating memory, manipulating advantage, and also just not dying. Because Sendril can spit out, you can have a blocker Sendril, but it doesn't matter because A, your shit don't have protection. 3 Great Angels has the Minimon. B, you have, what's it called? You can play like Cherubi Ace and stuff. That's cute. 3 Great Angels can play that too and do better things with it because Gatomon, Anjewomon. So like...
I can tell you the real reason why.
Go ahead.
You can do a bunch of free evos and 3 Great Angels. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the third point. More free manipulation, right? So...
And you have better removal, in my opinion, in that deck than Sendril.
You have more versatile removal for sure.
Yeah, because, so it's just a better deck.
Yes, it is. It is just a better deck. And so, like, that's...
Sendril always read okay, and it never read, like, anything crazy.
No, and it never read busted. But to me, I always felt like maybe, and this is why, like, I wish I had more time to compete.
I think some of the cards are okay. Like, the Arisas, like, giving things rush on play.
Yeah, like, kind of like an aggro... I guess a mid-range yellow deck, right?
I just think Sendril doesn't do enough for what.
No, and it doesn't. And
so like Overclock is great. Overclock is cool. What else does it do that's good? Realistically, it's just Overclock.
I just had like a funny idea for like a series we should do. where we take the okay decks that we have like in our formats and play them against like the really good decks from like 2 years ago. Like the best.
I really
decks.
see
So,
how
like,
mad they are.
Yeah.
I guarantee, depending on which deck it is,
Yeah.
some of the more quote meta decks might actually do better than those. Some others, depending.
Yeah, like you would take Sendril and put that up against Murdercross.
Oh, Murder Cross is smash.
Yeah, you
Never
get
mind. Not that.
mollywopped.
Not that,
Yeah, that's a
I thought you meant like in the sense of like the identity of like a yellow deck,
Oh.
a meta yellow deck now versus a
Well,
good yellow deck back
I mean,
then. That's what I thought you were trying to say.
I mean,
can't
that's-
even- good yellow hybrid. I can't.
I guess. No,
Yeah.
you'll still get mollywopped by Yellow Hybrid
I
because
think
You think so?
Jet Sophie at 4?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have
Jet
four
Sophie
Jet
at
Sophie.
four.
Because that's the only time the deck was relevant.
Yeah. I can't even really think of other times.
Sorry, let me rephrase. There was the Shine-ish, the Marcus version. But
Yeah,
Jet
Trash.
Sophie at 4. So
just
I
like
mean,
the player that used to play it.
Oh, we're besties.
You and him, right?
Him and I.
That guy? Yeah.
We're besties.
He comments on your Facebook
Yeah,
posts.
we're
That's cute.
besties.
That's cute.
Yeah, I don't think actually well, now that we mentioned it, I don't actually know. Well, I was trying to think, I was like, will BT9 be a good way to test it? And I was like, no. I think that
well, no, that's a
the-
horrible time to
the
do
meta deck of BT9 would
it.
destroy Sendril.
But that's the point. Like, that's really just
10
what I'm trying to
sets
say.
ago,
Like,
11 sets ago.
we do have a lot of good cards, but there are just way better cards, way better decks. Mirage, Purple Pile, being, and I say Purple Pile because it's not just Lord Knight. It's Leviathan. It's whatever else you want your top end to
Lilith.
be. You can do Lilith, yeah. And it's just like, I
See,
wish.
this is the problem we ran into, right? People complain, oh, there's too many things, that's too archetype. I want more generic stuff. We got more generic stuff.
Uh-huh.
Why are these cards so generic?
I
And now people wish it was
explicitly
more
remember
archetypal.
that.
So like you can't have it both ways. Like you are gonna get a generic like they were doing for the last, I don't know, maybe since BT
Everything,
14?
yeah,
13?
I feel like everything
No,
up till
13,
BT.
13 felt like it was pretty.
I think until they switched the head designer.
Maybe that's what
everything
it
was
is.
pretty
Maybe
generic. Everything felt, or not generic,
archetypal, yeah. So I feel like probably after that, because a lot of the newer stuff that's like in blue and like Mirage, it's kind of like
Blue's like
newer
and,
stuff.
and blue
That's
like
just super
blows my
generic.
mind because like, why is all the fish stuff
Generic as AF.
generic? Like, it's very clearly made for fish archetype, which makes complete sense. That's what it does.
Correct.
But why does it not play aquatic crustacean, sea
Yeah.
animal, sea beast, yada
Yep.
yada in traits? Why does it just say any?
Yeah.
Because they hate us. I don't know.
So like
Well, I mean, think about
we got the generic stuff, and then it was like people complaining about it. So it's like
I for
What do
one
you
never
do?
wanted that generic.
now
shit.
this is what they're doing now, right?
Yeah.
At least BT started BT20 because I think 19 is pretty generic stuff outside.
well with
of,
20 now we have
Tamers, but we're getting
series traits,
series traded. So I think that's a way to maybe
real it
archetype things, but
in.
also give some generic effects because like some of that Alphamon stuff is crazy in my opinion. Like the
And
low
it's
the
good.
fives,
Chronicle
the
trait
low
shit.
fives, yeah.
And it's a good thing it don't synergize with just generic X antibody.
Yeah.
Because
Like the low fives in there, like generically are good inheritables. But if you want to use it in a generic way, you guys spend more memory. That's how I look at it. I was like, all right, at least that's not bad. Because if you don't want to play it in Chronicles, then you have to spend the 4 unless you use a training boost. That's different.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then you keep it, traded. Maybe trainings need to be looked at. Low key.
really,
Whoa, that's
so it's
Because
interesting.
I remember one time we talked about this, and I was like, I could see why people were saying trainings, and maybe the conversation. I'm not saying you need to smack them, right? But I'm saying the conversation of what trainings can do could be possibly looked at as something to be considered, just because like they're so generically great for everything. It makes great decks greater. You make everything else like better, but at the same time, it's just those top decks can abuse the crap out of them. Compared to Mirage, is the reason why Mirage is the way it is. Because remember, pre-trainings, Mirage doesn't feel as powerful. Trainings, even back then, it was at BT14. Mirage was like,
So when we got trained,
Right?
BT4,
yeah,
Yes.
because remember we got
BT14
delayed compared to
buffed up.
JP, and so now you gain that from Mirage. Mirage just does shenanigans, and now you add more generic shit to it, like boosts and scrambles. Jeez, that deck pops the F off.
My issue with trainings, and again, I'm not saying that they're an issue. I never liked that it was 2 costs to drop.
Yeah,
I feel like that was always ridiculous.
It was because so the point, like why that's so unfair is because you're paying 2 now to Digivolve for 2 less later, but you also got to add a card. Compared to Memory Boost, which was pay 3 now to grab a card for 1 and gain your 2 back later.
Right.
Yeah, the only really main difference was when it cost 3, 2 it searched 4.
Yeah.
Instead of training.
And we also have easier access to memory cucking floodgates than Digievolution cost.
Yes.
Correct.
Floodgates.
I
only a few colors to have access.
I personally think the memory blockers have always been kind of better anyways.
Yeah.
It's
never worth playing.
They were better against more decks. That's
because there was more than just, I get to pop memory boost. It's like, you have a memory gaining inheritable.
The even reductions, how many is there? 2 or 3 in the game?
Cutemon
There's
and
Siakumon and Cumon,
Wait,
right?
Is it? No. Yeah.
It's Siako and Cumon, I think.
Is Siako?
What was the other one you were going to say?
I was going to say Kukumon, but I don't think Black has one. That's ignored Digievolution requirements.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's only 2, max 3.
And of course it's blue.
Yeah, blue and yellow. And of course it's blue, yeah.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Does Red not have a...
They just
can't
can't reduce
Evos?
play cost.
They have
can't play Digimon by effects. Can't gain memory. No, they don't have one.
Red?
No,
yeah, we do. We have the new Shamamon, I think it is. That's memory blocker.
Yeah, that's memory blocker.
Right, that's
not the cost.
There's no cost.
Cost reducer.
No, don't they have
Solarmon?
Solarmon.
Play cost.
That's play cost. Okay.
Oh wait, no. Gatsumon.
Play Digimon by effects.
No, Gaussmon. It's Gaussmon.
Oh yes, there you go. It is Gaussmon. So Red finally does have all 4 of them.
Yeah, they've been had.
Red had that one since BT5.
Yeah, they had that one for a while. That one,
but they've never been like relevant because
the way red decks work, red decks are way more archetypal, in my opinion,
but
than
also,
any other color.
Like Mike said, those aren't worth running at all.
Correct.
Now, memory blockers.
But even like I said, most red decks were like, let's talk about like the best red decks in the games we had, right? Greymon decks, you rarely ever did it, right? Because you needed your Agumons. Jesmon rarely ever did.
You needed the Solarmons.
Yeah, sometimes you did, but at the same time, how many? Maybe 1 at a time? 2 max sometimes?
You gotta see that.
I mean, I played it. Like, I know how it is. Like, you rarely did it. It was a very niche metas depending on the situation.
That's why we should have 60 card decks.
And then, like, what are red decks? Red Hybrid don't... actually, Red Hybrid, there was a time Red Hybrid did.
They can, yes.
There was a time Red Hybrid did. Because you don't care about your rookies in that deck as much. And what else? What other red decks were there that was meta relevant? Those are the 3 main ones, I think. Agumon. You need the Agumons.
Not relevant.
I mean, they had times where there was relevant deck, but like
BT6 for like
but that's I said Jesmon too. Jesmon's
not like a tier 2 deck in BT6.
Yeah, not relevant.
Like it's hard for red to fill it in compared to what blue can do.
Gallantmon,
in my opinion.
You need your Guillemons.
I said good meta decks. Like, why would you even think about Gallantmon?
You said Agumon.
Agumon was more meta relevant than Gallantmon ever was until BT BT 19.
That's maybe a hot take. I feel like
when was Gallantmon not a tier 3 deck?
I think that Gallantmon probably has had formats which had more tops than Agumon. Maybe.
Yes.
I could think.
They had like 2 tops and ever.
Agumon might have 2 tops.
And that was only with one format that was relevant.
I'm just saying. People cope on Gallant so hard that it might actually have more tops.
I don't know. But anyways.
But so I want to get back to what we were originally talking about, which was the memory gaining cards.
Yeah. Oh no, we were talking about the training. That's the training.
Well, so that as well.
So I think there should be. I think Bandai should consider semi-live, and that's a perfect semi-limit. 2 of. I don't think you need to put 1 of, but as a 2 of, I think that'd be interesting.
I disagree because it definitely hits the decks that would run it at 4, but I mean, I think playing it at 2 is still like. I think that's still like a good advantage.
Right, you won't see it consistently.
I don't know. If you hit,
the point is to lower the consistency of how fast you can get them.
If you hit trainings, you have to hit Scrambles. That's my personal hot take.
I honestly
Debatable. I don't know yet.
I don't know if we've played
Scrambles Scrambles at times feel crazy as hell because for 2 costs, I know we had a conversation with Lance. He was like, "Oh, but it's a comeback mechanic only."
I agree with the comeback mechanic,
but like the way certain decks can abuse it, aka Mirage, because like again,
let me paint the scenario.
This is the main one you can do it against, right? For 2 costs, you can reduce Evo for 3.
Yep.
If your opponent has a Digimon board, you can put a card from your trash to the top of your deck to draw it. And then if you have nothing on your board, and while your opponent has a Digimon, you can play a 2K less rookie on board before your turn starts. Certain decks, aka Taki, can potentially take that rookie and go to like a Fenrir.
Yes, they can.
And then if you have a memory tamer, you go, "Oh yeah, I lost all that memory. Now I'm back to 3."
Yeah.
Anyways, it's kind
of what I did today that made me be like, damn, Scrambles are actually disgusting. Magna X, board cleared because I didn't have something with protection. All right, fine. Scramble, start a turn. Put starter deck. No, I put Magna X back on top because I didn't have a Magna X in hand.
Right, makes sense.
Play Searching Vmon, search top 3, take Magna X, bottom deck the rest cards, draw my card that I was going.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Did you do it the correct way? Because technically, right? Mm-hmm. You search first before you did that draw.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I searched top 3, grabbed the Magna X that I put on top of deck, bottom deck the rest cards, draw the card to start my turn with, as I was going to do originally. Digivolve starter deck Magnamon, bounce shit back to hand, Digivolve Magna X.
And in those decks where it's like you don't care about swinging that turn, like
exactly.
For Magna X, you need 2 cards.
I literally just spent 8 memory to get back into my protected boss monster that can't be interacted with off Scramble.
Mirage is the same thing. It's like they don't care about swinging.
Exactly.
With that Digimon.
Because then
I'm gonna Evo up the chain, go to Mirage, you're gonna try to secure it anyways, and then I'm gonna make another stack and do the same shenanigans.
Exactly. And it's for that reason that I feel like Scramble should be hit, because they're just so like our argument for trainings taking good decks to be better and bad decks to be is like, all right, they were here and now they're like here. Like it moves kind of like in sync, right?
I don't think it moves equally.
All right, maybe.
I'll be honest. So it's like those top decks just
maybe like
crazy,
this, right? But for me personally, for Scrambles it feels like it's like whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
it's just it feels like it's so exponentially better. And I'm not saying that Scrambles should be hit, but if we're gonna talk about the idea of trainings being hit, Scrambles needs to be in that conversation, because those cards are fucking insane. And I knew it from the time that I saw it. I remember people were like, "Oh, they don't look to be much." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
that's comeback potential.
Especially when certain decks can just abuse the idea we can do, because like was the Taki plays, you can do
Dracmon.
You bring the Dracmon on play, you Evo from trash.
On play if you have a Tamer, Evo from trash.
Right. Which then if you have
a Skull Babushi, you can go into thing, pay memory, blah blah blah, blah blah blah.
Go to I think you technically go to Taki with the play if you have everything set up.
You would have to like God hand it, yeah.
Right. And then mind you, you spent all that memory just because if you have the memory setter at least, and then you just like,
if you guys are interested, East made a video on it. Correct. I don't remember what video it was, but he did illustrate this exact.
It was about purple Scrambles for Fenrir plays,
and he also talked about how crazy stuff. Yes, it's not going to happen all the time, but I mean, new cards are coming out, and we're just going to keep encountering these situations where it's like, damn, man.
I seen so far with Scrambles, right? I've seen Redbird's loop plays because they like to have nothing on board anyways.
Yeah.
Right. They like to have their stuff get deleted. So they pass turn. All right, cool. I'll play this Biomon effect.
Biomon play bounce Christie. Digivolve Grudemon.
Yeah, like
Grudemon replay Christie.
Yeah, you can do a lot of shenanigans. Which, mind you, the Sora is a memory tamer as well. So again, same concept with the Taki play. You just bring it right back over to 3 and you use with it. And now you start up your play, and then you're doing like the Ancient Grave version. Sheesh, like this.
I didn't even know that was the thing.
The plays is crazy, right? You raise a Biomon, you go to the promo Uguni, swing Ancient Grave, 2 checks. Biomon gains your memory as well. So it's a pseudo analog unit if you don't have an analog unit on board. And then you just do a whole bunch of shenanigans because Ancient Grey lets you play Tamer and Sora effect. You grab something, play yada yada yada, Garudamon, Garuda X, Rush.
There's so much. It's
it
just
gets crazy.
It's
really cool. Like if anyone ever played birds like that way with the Ancient Grey stuff, you should check it out because you can do really, really cool combos. I've seen Gino do it because that's like one of his like pet decks. I don't know why he's never brought it into like an actual like regional setting. Maybe he's not confident with it.
Gino is calling you out.
No, I'm not calling him out. I'm just saying like I'm surprised he's never done. He's never brought that deck because you could do a lot of stupid shenanigans with it. And realistically, maybe because it's blue meta where Mirage is bouncing and you don't do anything at that point.
That's
but like
definitely.
Scrambles can get crazy, that's for sure. I think Scrambles could. I haven't tested it fully yet. I want to test it. I think Scrambles, the idea what Scrambles could do, can be really well for Millenniumon as well. I just haven't gotten there yet because I've just been going ham with my testing with Purple Hybrid. And also, real quick, if you're versing a mill deck, Scramble saves you.
Yeah, because you put the card back on top of your deck. Yeah, so you can't be decked out.
Correct.
Yep.
So sometimes that may matter.
Yeah. Not that it matters because Mill as a strat, you know, who likes Mill as a strat? Do you like Mill as a strat?
Yeah, I think it's cool actually.
Oh, okay. There you go. You got a Purple Hybrid fan over here. Why don't you teach him your deck?
He don't play the game anymore.
Yeah, fuck this game. It's garbage.
Anyways,
I came to Nationals to play Gundam and that's it.
This is true.
Sounds about right.
This is true.
Yeah. Selling Imperial.
You
guys will know about this. You guys will know about this way after this podcast out. Yeah.
Continue.
No, so the conversation of all of those cards, including the...
Oh, I didn't know they could do this.
The conversation of all of those cards comboed with the memory gaining cards. You're really gonna make me raise my head, ain't you? The combination of all those cards.
You can bring it back down now, please.
My bad.
The conversation of all those cards, including the memory gaining cards, is really just, it boils back to bringing the game back to a state where, and I'm not saying that like I hate this meta, blah blah blah. I will say that I hate Mirage with the passion of 1,000 suns, but
a thousand fiery suns,
but I hated that deck from way before that, and it just keeps getting exasperated, right? So I'm not saying that I have a problem with any other deck but Mirage right now. But we do need to look at the game from a meta competitive standpoint and bring it back to where memory matters. And I don't think Bandai will do that. I think we're too far gone. I feel like we're too far gone, mainly because I don't think Bandai has the balls to hit any of those, like all of those cards. Like,
well, I mean, with the memory gaining ones, they hit Hammer Spar, so I could see them hitting.
I could, but
the free memory game.
Do I want those cards hit next? No, I'm fine with those cards if I can get Mirage, Galgamon, and Huang Kun hit, and they're not going to hit.
As long as Mirage gets hit, I don't care. Honestly,
and realistically,
that's what I really care about, and then see what happens after that.
They're only going to hit Mirage, and it's just gonna like. So I think, like the big thing people have to think about, like when we talk about ban list, is what will the landscape look like post list? To Dan's point, you hit just a Mirage, which is most likely going to be the case. And yeah, that deck still does exactly the same thing it's doing with the one of Mirage and the 4-Hex.
Yep, exactly.
And that sucks. That sucks major booty hole.
And then what sucks is that, like, I don't think I would have a problem with Hexa if it was like Hexa deck. You know what I'm saying?
If it was meant to because you're only swinging for 3 checks one time.
2 checks one time.
3 because of Chris Paildramon.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, if you were playing like the whole like Hexalon and like that was a meta deck or whatever, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
3 checks once.
My problem is the deck.
4 checks.
The deck is part of another deck.
2 checks twice.
Where like you just do a whole bunch of shenanigans.
And you also get to punish your opponent. Now, the one good thing is that if Mirage does get hit and the rest of the stuff stays, that's okay because at least we won't have a deck that fucking punishes us for hand size.
Yeah. I honestly think Mirage should go to 0 too. I don't think it should stay as a 1.
I know I'm gonna hate it every time I see that Saki fucking one of.
I don't understand why Bandai for Digimon doesn't give like full on
actual.
Do they do it in One Piece?
Yeah, they do.
What if they hit lately?
2-0.
to 0. I mean, they hit fucking leaders completely. They full on.
Oh yeah, I know. Like Sokka got.
They'll full on get rid of a leader and then give you a really shitty.
So
version
yeah,
of it instead.
that's a good point. And I feel like one big topic we have to talk about, like in regards to that, is so we're going on year 5 of Digi 2025.
Like
year 5. But like realistically speaking, like Bandai's young in this card game space.
Damn, put down my drugs.
I was seeing what type of drug it was.
It's
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, like what's
they have deep.
you know what else just got hit? Well, not just, but like 6 months ago, Anai's lobby.
Annie's lobby, really?
0.
Wow, 0.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's that. All right, that's weird. That's weird. They have no problem hitting stuff at 0.
So that's what I'm going to get to. Bandai as a card game company is young when it comes to card games, and they have different teams heading up every card game, which is very evident. One Piece has its own team, and One Piece's team is like super heavily invested. I'm not saying that Digimon's team isn't heavily invested in our side. I can understand that there are constraints that are being worked with, but obviously One Piece has had like so much room for exploration that they're like, oh, the players don't like Sakazuki, and we can understand why they don't like Sakazuki.
When they hit Sakazuki, they hit Great Eruption to 0 too.
Right. So those cards
and
done.
At the same time, Reject. They hit Reject to 0.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was with Reject. Yeah.
They don't do like
they limits.
They don't have any limits.
Interesting.
And you know what else they did? This is before I was playing One Piece. But they hit all those Whitebeard cards.
Yes.
But only for like it was like a.
That was the one that got the ban reversed, wasn't it? No.
Yeah, it wasn't. This is before I played One Piece, so I actually can't speak on it fully. But yeah, they hit cards only for a certain format, and then they reversed it after the format was over. I don't know which cards.
So
and I think Moby Dick might actually still be hit.
I think Moby Dick is still hit because that card.
Moby Dick and I think Moby Dick. I think
it's just Moby Dick. But the point is that the One Piece card game dev team has had such leniency with how they manage the competitive state of One Piece, and for like it's fair because how many they had LCQs today, to which probably 500 players showed up because that's probably cap, if not 1,000. They had 2 whole nationals. Tomorrow is still going to be probably 1,000+ players competing. So there are players heavily invested, heavily buying into product. That game is selling like hotcakes, and that's fair. That's fine. I get it. But what I want to see, and this is why me personally, I'm holding out like. I'm not really commenting on anything that Bandai has done in the past year for Digimon. I'm looking forward to 2025 because to me, this is the make or break year.
Yeah.
This is the year that we know what Digimon is going to be like for the future. We know if Bandai's trying to kill it off. We know if they give 2 shits about the game, if they don't, because with the combination of the formats, we know I don't remember what her name is, but the English card game producer.
Yep.
She spoke with our boy Lance last year at Gen Con.
This past year's
Gen Con, and basically said that like there's been a lot of change internally for the Digimon card game. She was kind of elevated to like head a lot of it up.
Correct.
Her coming together with the other 2 languages,
which is Chinese
producers.
And Japanese.
So then it's 3 because it's Chinese, Korean, and Japanese.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's natively printed in Korean. So it coming together with those 3 languages to see how the game is performing, what are we going to do for it? Digimon as a whole having 2 nationals for this year, so them recognizing players wanting to play the game. I think there's a lot to look forward to, but there's also a lot to be critical about. But we have to wait and see because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what they have planned.
Last ban list for Digimon, was that new producers or was that the old one? I think it's a new one, right?
It's new producers.
Yeah. In my opinion, it was a good list.
Yeah, it was a good list. Yes, I remember. That was our last pod. Yeah. That was like September.
Something like that.
It was after Gen Con.
The only thing they missed was Mirage, obviously. But besides that, I mean, they didn't make Mirage, so I don't think they realized the issue with it at the time.
Yes.
And so I would not be surprised because they hit all the quote unquote problem cards at that time.
Right.
I could see them in the next ban list. They hitting Mirage, no problem.
Yes, they were the ones who hit Hammer Spark. That's right.
It's just a matter of zeros or not.
And that list had a lot of hits on it, didn't it?
Yeah,
yes.
With a lot of lists.
Yeah, it did.
I think, honestly, I'm for a list with a lot of hits.
Yeah. Right. It
It
should
should hit everything.
it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh list, right? Like you look at you anticipate Yu-Gi-Oh lists because you're like, how many cards are about to come on here and how many are about to come off? Because Yu-Gi-Oh has on average at least like 30 hits.
No,
not
that
really.
much. They
Maybe 20.
probably had a couple that was like really, really high, but it's not like they probably like 10
Or maybe
Yeah.
more cards shifting in between because I know they have
They do
semi-limited in.
They'll do a lot of shifts because they'll put things from like semi-limited to limited,
Right.
limited to semi-limited.
So maybe it's more the shifts.
0 to 1, 0 to 2.
It really depends on that format too, because they will do an emergency and just hit that one deck specifically.
Right.
Sometimes.
And it's like that's what I'm hoping for coming into this new year, that because
let's not be afraid of putting things to 0.
let's not be afraid to put things to 0, but we're
HP
about to be a unified.
Fucking, let's go back and hit the other cards that are here. Like all of them. I
Just
would,
wipe, just
I'm gonna
scorched
be,
earth.
Well, because I would rather just not have one-ups. If I'm being honest, like I really,
in my opinion, some cards are fine at 1-0s.
I agree, but it's just annoying.
Some of them are
more
just
annoying
sacky
than it is
1-ups.
anything
I think
else.
I'm always gonna say
Mr.
Ice Wall.
Fifth place with his APOC.
Oh, that's why Dan's
Look,
advocating.
Apocalypse is the fair balance card, guys. Don't listen to them. All right, let me stop. Anyways, no, I mean, realistically, I probably should be a 0, but that's neither here nor there.
It came out of the horse's mouth.
But I think there's some cards that are perfect 1-0s. I think like
Some
Ice
cards,
Wall is a
yes.
perfect 1-0 in my opinion.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's like the only one I can.
Is HPD a fair one-off?
No, that completely shifts the whole game state.
To be fair,
Ice
Green's not meta.
Ice Wall doesn't. I don't give a.
HPD's not meta,
That's what he just said.
and we're fine. That's fine.
But that
Honestly, dude,
that card is.
I feel so bad for Green. I'll let them have HPD at this point, bro. Every single one of their decks is fucking ass. Anytime a good
Medieval
green,
Gallantmon is a good green deck.
fuck up. People are always like, dude, this green deck's gonna change the meta, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It never fucking does. They always
Yeah.
fucking suck.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's wild because recent green decks, you're like, those are good decks.
They are.
They're not though.
But they're not.
Tyrant's still good.
No, but so like I agree. I just think like so this year with the metas being unified, with more importantly the competitive state of the game being unified, hopefully that points to obviously a unified ban list, and hopefully that means more consistent, more timely hits.
Yeah.
Because we arguably should have had a hit a list like at least a month ago. Like I think it was September.
Not really. It was September when we got hit.
Yeah, so 3 months, like 3-month evaluation, a list before nationals, and you go into nationals with.
I think that Bandai is.
think.
Well, no, because Bandai doesn't really.
So we already know that once we go to unification, it's gonna be 4 main sets, 2 side sets.
3 side sets.
Is it 3? No, I think it was 2.
It's 3. The next set is like January, February next year. It's within the cycle.
But the way it looks like it's going to be is going to be about 4 main sets a year,
and
right?
3 extra sets.
Depends on how it falls. I think it is
pretty much.
probably.
But you can most likely.
And then you're gonna have your 2 starter decks. I mean, a set of starter decks probably every
I would say every 6 months.
6 months or so. I would say if
we
you have
need
4
more
sets.
hot take. We need more.
No, that's not a hot take. That's
If we
a
have
fucking fact.
if we have 4
One
sets,
Piece on.
One Piece is on 21.
That's fucking insane.
if we have 4 sets, probably at least guarantee every 6 months, we should have a ban list.
I think every 3 months there needs to be an evaluation. Whether they hit something or they don't, they at least need to acknowledge.
Put an announcement out saying we looked at the game state.
Yes,
It's fine.
because
Go fuck yourself.
They ain't gonna do
no,
that.
straight up. But I think that's what they need to do.
I think
that's
every
the
6
right
months
thing to
is
do.
probably fine.
Every 6
though.
months probably
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh usually does. They have one earlier in the year, so anywhere between February to March-ish.
But-
April-ish, I think it is. For Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It was like usually February to April.
Dude, Konami
And then it'll
is
be
so
like-
late.
And it'll be like, that's why I say like a range. And then like the next one's usually like around, I think it's like July to like October or something like that.
But so I just
Like again, we're not Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm saying like
Right.
I think every 6 months it helps freshen it up with new
with essentially 3 new sets,
Right.
Like 3 sets, and
'Cause
then
every 3 months is too short.
It's
in my
too
opinion,
short,
Because
yeah.
then
I
people
agree.
people are buying product and then getting their money destroyed within 3 months.
Yes.
I agree. But that's why there needs to be a conversation. But
I don't think there needs to be unless it's an emergency. Like if there's an emergency that has to happen, then Bandai should step in.
Yeah, that's why I hope with however they decide to do Digimon for 2025, that they take cues from One Piece and they listen to their player base. And it seems like, that's what she's doing, English producer, listening to the player base. But that's super important because these are things that it's easy to gauge if you're listening to the player base and you're getting a feel for how things are. Not saying you should always listen to players because players got some bad motherfucking takes sometimes.
No, I'll be honest.
But
that's a good point. I'm gonna go into the Digimon card game group and I'm gonna.
All right,
I want to type in ban list.
I don't remember all that one list that I forget who made. What were you thinking about the promo Goonie and Lobo ones?
It's a fair
that warp
point.
Into
I can understand it. But at the same time,
no, it's fine.
I don't know. I don't think I would.
This list, I'm looking at it right now. This motherfucker said Balmon, Goblimon, Ukomon, Lobomon,
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Ogremon, Duskmon, Dobermon X, Aguni, Mirage, Magna X, Fenry, D&K, Koichi. Man, this guy really hates purple.
Yeah.
Fucking and Koa. I mean, so some of his cards are valid, but most of these cards are just. I hate the idea of like we're hitting Balmon and then Takamiki at the same time.
What do we think about? Because I know I've heard a lot of people complain how like busted the idea of what Duxmon and Belgramon do. What do we think about those two cards? I want to hear what y'all gonna say before I say my.
Let me talk real quick because he abuses me with it all the time.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know what y'all think. I don't know if you played against it as much yet.
Not too much.
The thing that I hate the most, and what always happens, is the loop. But I'm okay with the loop. I just hate that it's like whether you die or not, you can trigger your loop, and maybe that's fine. But then also taking out like all of my lowest level, it's just like it just makes things tough, right? And I hate that. I'm fine with the mill. That's whatever. I'm fine with Duskmon changing colors. I think that's a very unique game mechanic. I hate that it can cuck you out of a blast DNA, but I think that's fair because the deck doesn't do 5s. It's a level 4. And I mean, I finished watching I haven't finished. I think I'm like 3/4 way through, finished watching Frontier, but Duskmon was strong AF. He was bodying them kids for a minute, right? Yeah. So I think all of that is fair. I just hate that it doesn't feel like if you're a deck that can deal with tamers or that can interact with tamers somehow, that you really just can't do anything with Purple Hybrid. They don't leave anything on board for you to deal with. They drop Gazimons on you.
Yeah, we sure do.
They drop Gazimons on you, choke you to 1.
Some people play the Psychmon too.
Some people do play the Psychmon, and it just makes it like I said, I'm okay with the mill strat, but the looping can be excessive. I'm okay with Duskmon. I really have more of a problem with Velgarmon's end of attack. That's really it.
Interesting.
I think I would prefer that you could delete yourself, but that you don't delete Digimon. Like one or the other. Period. Either delete or like remove, like just don't trigger your own like loop to delete my Digimon, or just don't delete my Digimon. That's my opinion. I hate that loop. I fucking hate that loop.
Purple Hybrid used to loop back in the day too.
I know, but you had to go through a whole Cherubi chain to get it.
No, not even. It was your hybrid into the Rihimon.
Oh, because Rihimon plays the Tamer from Tamer, right?
And just keep looping.
But I'm fine with that. That's like it's a more card combo compared to.
I miss calling it 4.
Yeah, what a time, right?
Good days.
Yeah.
Imagine if that card was at 4.
Ooh,
I would agree. That's a perfect one.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a great one.
So as someone who plays mains,
hold on. Go ahead, Mike.
I just think it's I think I would rather see them hit other cards part of the deck.
I do think that I wouldn't hit. I have no problems with Purple Hybrid right now. It's like annoying.
Jack Raid seems like a great card to hit. Like that you can get rid of that card.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you need to hit.
Dude, I can't mill someone like 30 cards.
Yeah, that's exactly why they should hit that. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's a great card to hit. I don't think you need to hit Velgamon or Duskmon right now. I'm more. They're just too new, and I think the card. You should let the meta play out and see what happens. But absolutely hit the cards around it. I don't give a fuck. Hit Jack Raid.
Definitely hit Jack Raid.
Hit a Puck to 0.
Come on.
Definitely put a Puck.
I like a Puck actually. Yeah, I don't think.
But I don't know. I think they're fine because they're doing like what the deck is supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, because like,
unfortunately,
you literally
that's a bad argument.
You literally give the effect, but you literally give the effect of Duskmon that says change anything that's not white.
Well, that's racist. First of all,
you can't change anything to white. I'm just saying.
Second of all, I think it's just a bad argument, but I understand what you're saying. But that's like being like, yeah, I mean, Alphamon just does what the deck's supposed to do.
But like, I think there's a difference with certain things, like abusing like the crazy part of it. But like,
you didn't need to delete yourself at the end of the deck.
But why? I'm deleting me to delete you.
Does Velgramon die in the anime, Dan?
Yeah, doesn't he? Koichi dies.
Not until the final fucking fight when he transitions from evil to good.
But that's why he goes like he kills everything else to kill other things. You know,
Nah.
It's a bad season, anyways.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I think I was surprised at people who like really complaining about Duskmon
because it
prevents them from playing the game correctly.
It actively cucks your opponent
because
playing
it's
the
like.
game.
They don't ask the question and be like, yeah, I mean, it stops you from playing the game.
Right. So like, I know someone was talking about one time, like, oh, if them changing my color, I can't Evo. Well, that was the point.
Yeah.
But that's like Sukumon doing Sukumon things. Oh, I'm gonna make you a white Sukumon. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
It just so happens Sukumon's not as good.
Right.
Yeah.
Facts. I
And
agree.
so like, I don't think it's a problem
That's why
either.
I said Duskmon. That's perfect. Duskmon is a great.
And then Velgramon.
It's SR worthy.
Who I think was in one of the chats.
It's actually crazy that I guess I see it, but it's just crazy that Velgramon's a rare because
maybe it was Lance that said Velgramon's too strong. Because the idea is remember you can, let's say you have like a 3 and I don't know 2 5s, right?
It doesn't matter. You get to pop the 3 by changing it to purple.
So you go Duskmon, change that to purple. You go Velgra effect. You live.
That's annoying.
And then you can kill your opponent's Digimon to kill something else.
Yes,
as well.
And that's
so I think that's what's really strong. But like then now you can't loop because you can't kill yourself. You can by his own fact.
I can't loop. I'm just gonna play my one of calling, delete myself. I'll play Matt. I'll bring back.
But then I have to waste a whole one memory to do that instead of.
Oh my goodness!
You know what I'm saying?
What a shame.
But
on second thought, I think you should hit the entire color.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Gobbly and Ogremon, like that's literally what they said. I don't think those cards need to be hit.
I do think that both of them being on play is also pretty crazy. In the sense of
that's
annoying. The milling, because like I've had games where I was like, oh, how many cards do you have? 3 now? Or I'm just hard drive Velcro game.
Yeah, that's annoying.
You know what I'm saying? I think that was pretty crazy.
I'm somehow fine with that.
But I don't think it's maybe the issue because it's like the deck has 2 win cons versus most decks only have 1 win con.
Yes.
I think that's also a problem.
But I think that's strong. And that's what makes the deck powerful. And that's good. We don't hit decks because they're good. We hit decks because they're fucking broken.
Right. I don't think it's broken.
It's not broken. It's annoying.
Maybe.
It's annoying.
I do think that like if it's
we'll reevaluate in 6 months.
I think certain decks can't deal with it at all though. For sure.
Yes, it's a gatekeeper deck, but I think an important note and something to end pod on is there's always going to be some fucking boogeyman standing there that's going to keep every lower tier deck from being good in the meta, right? Like, let's just say
low key can't count as Magna.
What do you mean it counts as Magna?
Because Magna just gives 3 free colors. And he just like, all right, cool. If you give him another extra color, you can easily get to 15.
Yeah.
And then you can attack into it or over times.
So like, I think, so we're always going to have some deck that's good and that's fine. Like, I don't think people realize that like, we don't need to be hitting every good deck, but the decks that have proven to be a fucking problem, Imperial, Mirage, I'll put a question mark above Magna X, and
Purple Hybrid.
I wouldn't count. I honest to God, no problems with Purple Hybrid.
Lords.
I have no problems with 7 Grade Demon Lords.
I mean, those are the top decks.
Right, and I'm saying I have no problems with those.
Yeah.
So I just named like 2, let's say 2.5, because let's count Magna as a half due to the question mark. 2.5 decks that should be looked at for ban list shenanigans. Oh, I guess Takamika's Uchi.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about that.
So 3.5 decks that need to be evaluated, but knowing that even if they were to hit Magna X and those 3 other decks, something else is going to come up and be a big boogeyman. It might be Tyrant. It could be Demon Lords. It could be Mother Control. It could be fucking 3 Great Angels. You never know. And it's always going to happen. You need to come to terms with that because I don't think enough people look at what they're saying needs to be hit on a ban list. They think it's going to be like I feel like it's very rare that we would ever get a ban list that puts us into what BT15 meta was like post ban list.
Yeah, I think that was a great meta.
That was a great meta. Regardless of what Lance says, it was a great meta. It was a great ban list, and it's very rare that we hit an environment like
also,
that.
y'all remember the whole time when we were like, damn, Mother Shuttle is kind of broken. They need to choice restricted.
Turns out that deck sucks.
Yeah, that's never going away because that deck is never. It's always going to be in relevant somehow.
It's another gatekeeper deck.
Yeah,
and again,
not that it sucks.
It sucks.
It depends on the situation. It depends on the meta, in my opinion.
Garbage.
We're always gonna have it. We're always gonna have SecCon control, something gatekeeping. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that is it for today's IRL episode of DigiPod, the digital podcast. Boys, what's our parting words for our audience today as we are all in person?
Don't expect us to be in person ever again, probably.
Wrap it before you clap.
There we go. All right.
Wow, that was a bit much.
Until we talk to you guys next time, peace out.
Catch you all on the next one.